Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Ryan. For those of you who don't know me, co-host of the Business and Brew Show. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Nick. You might recognize him from one of our episodes.
Yep.
So Nick is the co-founder of Trek CBD. Nick, give us a little background. Tell us why we're here.
Why are we here? Well, everything starts with an idea. And if you're watching this show, you're an entrepreneur and you probably have a burning idea in the back of your mind, right? And we want to speak to you in particular, right? Entrepreneurs. But why we're here, as things usually happen, Ryan and I were having a great conversation one day, and we're talking about how could we help people, how could we share our experience with people. Myself and you combined have a ton of experience with building small businesses, working for large organizations, and we landed on this. And we landed on building a business or starting a business in the middle of a pandemic. So let me say that again. Starting a business in the middle of a pandemic. And why did we land on that? We went back and forth for a while in terms of what should we name this. But you know what? If you've got the right idea and you're willing to put forth the effort, this is a great time to start a business.
Yeah.
What we're going to do in the series of shows here is we're going to share with you some color commentary on the things you need to do to be successful from start, meaning actually before start, right? We're going to talk about things like market research, right? All the way through getting funding and actually getting your business up and running, no matter what type of business it is. But along the way, we're going to share with you our successes and our failures, and we're going to give you kind of the backstory to it all. There's plenty of places you can go out there if you want to get the infinite details about, for example, how you want to build a business plan. Hey, go out there. I know you're a big fan of a SBA website.
Yeah.
Great. Go there and do that. We're going to do a little bit different here. We're going to make the time valuable, and we're going to give you our commentary on things. But how I got in this seat here is, I don't know if it's an interesting story, but it's a story, right?
Yeah.
I spent the last 20 years in corporate America. I was working for a large pharmaceutical manufacturing company, $33 billion company, 100,000 employees. I had the privilege of working in a lot of different functions across sales, senior sales leadership, marketing, strategic operations, planning, and that sort of, put me in a place where if I have that knowledge, that's what I'm putting into the day-to-day at Trek CBD, but I want to be able to share that with other people as well. And it really goes to what kind of supports me is that I'm driven by an entrepreneurial drive.
Yeah.
That's what's at the heart of my soul, basically, is that. I might have spent 20 years in corporate America, but the whole time I was thinking about what my next business was going to be. I started off at 14, cutting lawns, washing cars, hustling to make money. I then went into the corporate world. I worked for Hyatt Hotels and worked my way through their leadership team structure. And then my wife and I had an opportunity to move to Florida. Who doesn't want to move to Florida when you're have no kids yet? You can live on Miami Beach, live the life, right? And we moved down there, and I started a company called Proline Solutions down there,
Nice.
where we were doing marketing for developers, connecting people with things that they needed for their house, upgrades, fit and finish, and that was all sort of pre-internet, so it was a really cool concept. But once the internet came along, we were at the point where we wanted to change our business model, and I at that point decided that I was going to get a job, and that's when I went into pharmaceuticals, and 20 years later, here I am. But about a year and a half ago, myself and my business partner, Scott Brady, decided to found Trek CBD. I wanted to stay in the wellness space. The wellness space is, of course, continuing to grow out there. I wanted to be on the natural side of things. I had been on the pharmaceutical side for so many years. CBD has certainly got a mountain of evidence behind it and still continuing to grow. And we're going to talk more in detail about how we started this business here. But we're super excited to be part of the Wake Forest community. Our business is in Wake Forest, where I live and actually own a business. So let me pause there, because as probably non-interesting as that story was, you've got a much more interesting story, including your service to our country that I know people, if they haven't tuned into Business and Brews before, would love to hear more about.
Yeah, definitely. So you're exactly right, Nick, in putting together a business. Of course, the checklists that you find out there are phenomenal, yep. But if you don't know of someone who's already been through that, then it's definitely a challenge. And just our successes and failures alone will,
Right.
I believe, will help tremendously for somebody coming up with an idea. And, you know, I have very similar experiences, you know, so starting in the Army right after I graduated high school, I spent 10 years in the Army, and I tell everyone, you know, I deployed one time to Iraq. And so that was a 15-month tour, you know, but I was in for 10 years. So it's almost like I practiced for so long. Of course, it wasn't at the end, but you get the idea. There's so much training that goes into the military. Like, that's all that we do all the time is train, train, train. And then when it comes time to execute, you don't really have to think about it. And so being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, you know, going in and starting something new, those systems and processes don't exist. And while you're coming up with them, it can be a little bit of a struggle not knowing what to do or which direction to head. So being able to see other people that have already done that is a huge value in and of itself. You know, once I got out of the military, I tried tons of different things, including, you know, selling online. I've sold on just about every major sales channel you can think of, including Amazon, eBay, Walmart.com, my own website. Seeing those successes and failures, especially for someone who wants to start an online business or someone who already owns a business and they want to move into the online space. A lot of that information by itself could be super helpful, especially seeing like what someone like me has already done right and wrong with those things. And then recently, you know, over in Durham, starting an e-commerce company that, you know, kind of flopped on the end there. I learned a ton about logistics, large scale, small scale. I was actually doing some cold calling at one point there. And, you know, it felt like I was reinventing the wheel, even though I was definitely talking to people like, hey, how do I come up with a script? What do I say on the phone when I talk to these people? How can I take cold prospects and turn them into warm leads and stuff like that? It was still a huge challenge. And so just that little bit of experience with all those different things, I hope that in our conversations, you know, during this show, you know, starting a business in the middle of a pandemic, this is super important. I believe this is a lot of information people need. I believe there are people out there who want to start a business, know that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and might be hesitant or worried because there's that one thing that they're unsure of. There's that one thing that they don't know how to do. And my hope is that this conversation right here and what we talk about on this show is going to help them solve that problem so they can get over that speed bump and launch into their own success with their small business and their new venture.
I love it. And what I love what you just said is that we're planning on making these about, 20 minutes long every single week, right? So give you a little snippet in terms of whatever topic we're going to cover, enough detail to say, okay, that, you know, might have helped me in one particular area, but it goes well beyond that. Both myself and Ryan are passionate about small businesses. I own a consulting company as well, too. But outside of that, if you've got a question, call us up. If you got a question, reach out to us. And it could be a question about an episode that we just recorded and you want to know more detail about it. Or it could be a question that's outside of that either you want us to do an episode on or you just want to talk to us one-on-one. And my door is always open because I love talking to entrepreneurs. I love seeing that passion in their eyes, that idea that they have that they just can't wait to put into execution. So I know I speak for myself and you to say that, you know, it's an open door. If we can help you get off to a strong start, let us know. Okay, we'll be happy to help.
Yeah, definitely. And so just for ease of access, I know before you had mentioned something called Medium. Is it medium.com?
It is Medium, yeah. Medium.com, that's a blog website that you can go to, and you can get all different types of blogs sent to your inbox every single day, essentially. And one of them I read last week, I think we were talking about this earlier, was on entrepreneurialism. Yep. And it really nailed the essence of entrepreneurialism. And entrepreneurialism is incredibly exciting because you've got an idea that maybe nobody else has, or it's unique to yourself, and it keeps you up at night, and you
Yeah.
want to get it into execution, essentially. But even more importantly, this talked about how it's different than when you're going to a job every single day, because you said it before. You are now the person that has to figure out every single aspect of your business, cold calling, everything.
Yeah.
So we're going to help with that every single week. But the blog really spoke to the fact about how exciting it can be, but also at times it can be isolating because you're on your own, essentially. So I actually responded to the author online and said, man, you nailed what it feels like to be an entrepreneur. Not only the exciting part of it, but the reality of it all. And we want to be a mix of that too.
Yeah.
We want to be exciting, and we also want to be a reality for you as well too.
Definitely. Yeah, so that's really cool, man. So Nick, I'm going to put that in the show notes. I'm going to put a ton of other links in the show notes. And what's great about like how we produce and broadcast this this entire Business and Brews and starting a business in the middle of a pandemic is that there's a link on there that you can use with Anchor that you can just click it and call in. It's almost like leaving a voicemail, so people can do that, and then you
cool.
and I can hear it.
Yep.
We can actually include that audio if we want into each show. So if somebody has a question, they can ask us that question. And then, like I said before, if it's something that doesn't require just like a one-sentence reply or something like that, we can just throw together a whole episode on it and go through the ins and outs and the ups and downs, figure out the good, bad, and the ugly. And what's great about it is with people having that access to reach out directly to you and I, is that we also get to help other people who might have the same question. And, maybe they didn't know that they could reach out or they didn't know how. And so now we get to help a ton of people in the process.
So now that you know what's in store for you on this building a business in a pandemic podcast, what's going to be our next episode?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this because I've been involved heavily myself in this kind of stuff, but I know you not only have a specific process that you can follow, but you did it for Trek CBD, and that's the market research. Okay, so coming up, our first ever episode of starting a business in the middle of a pandemic, we're going to be talking about market research. We're going to be talking about location, which is super important.
Absolutely.
How do I conduct the research to figure out where I'm going to put my small business if I'm going to have a physical location? How do I conduct that research to determine what the demand is for my product or service?
Yeah.
And so that's just a little snippet of what we have to look forward to on the next episode.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get started. All right.
Cool. Thanks, Nick. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ryan.